Hello there, and welcome to another week on The Real Revolution. This week we are talking about depression. Basically, we're talking about what we think about it and how do we cope if we tend to suffer from it, and do we have any advice to give. I come from a family that never really talked about depression. In fact, I come from a family where, if you were feeling sad, you just got off your ass, picked yourself up, and just did something about it. Whether it was just to distract yourself from it or to whatever, to vent about it, whatever, but never to each other. We didn't vent about our depression to each other. Now, this might be a little controversial and it might be a little harsh, but I come from and really am of the belief that a lot of the problems that we have are self-manifested, and that there are times when we take things to heart that we shouldn't, and that we generally, this is me being very general, we need to just suck it up. Now, don't get me wrong, I am perfectly aware of what it's like to have your heart crushed into a million pieces, and that's not just in relationships, just in everyday things, Sometimes life is shit, and I get that, but I think that there's only so much wallowing you can do before you really need to either seek help or, start taking medication, or just distract yourself, until you feel better. Honestly, I have never ever thought about taking medication for, any bouts of depression that I've ever kind of experienced. It goes back to, my family and how I grew up. It just wasn't the thing to do, It wasn't the thing to do to take medication for depression. And for me, I guess for a long time, I found it to be a bit hokey, you know what I mean? Because like I said, I'm of the school of thought that, or I was for a long time, that just get yourself up and out of bed and just put on some clothes and make yourself look pretty and just get out and face the day. So when I started meeting people who were suffering from depression and were doing something about it by taking medication, I was really, really interested to see how it affected them and how it helped them. I have a really, really lovely friend that I met at school, and we met up beginning of the year sometime for breakfast, and she confided in me and told me that during 2010, she actually thought about committing suicide. Her depression had gotten that bad. And it wasn't until she had been put on medication that she felt like it gave her the motivation to just get out of bed and do something, And I guess that's the thing for me is that, I apologize if this offends anyone because, like I said, I've never experienced it. I've never been on medication, but I do believe that, you can't just rely on the medication to just get you better, that there is this effort that you have to put into it to get out of bed and actually do something about it. For me, YouTube was my medication. When I broke up with my ex, venting on YouTube was my way of just getting it all out, purging it from myself. And it really, really helped. And it took me a long time. It took me a year to get over this person. But with the help of YouTube and followers and stuff, it was just so much easier. And that was probably my deepest depression that I've ever experienced. Besides that, I get sad, but I bounce back pretty quickly. Advice that I can give you. It kind of feels like any advice I give would be kind of harsh because I would tell people to suck it up, which is just mean. I think my main advice would be to accept that you have depression or that you are depressed and seek help and talk about it. There's nothing wrong with being depressed. There's nothing wrong with having a really, really shit month or week or 6 months or year. You know, I had a whole year of absolute shit. And so I think that's the thing, is accept it and then do something about it. Whether it is to suck it up, like I would tell you to do, or to seek advice, to talk about it, to start seeing a therapist, to do all 4 of those, you know? Like, just sitting there and wallowing is not going to do you any good. And yeah, it's unhealthy and it's unpleasant to be around, I have to admit. So, yeah, do something about it.